You know, it's been quite some time since I made a Gears review, so screw it intro, we're just gonna go straight into the video, I guess. Now, there isn't really much to talk about because, well, quite frankly, their Operation 6 didn't have much to offer. Now, as I've already stated in my beginning of the end video I made, I think it was 2 months ago, that I pretty much explained that why on earth they brought back Spire of all things, which I am still pretty annoyed by that to this day, by the way. But they somewhat made up for it with the newest map, Tomb, which was pretty alright, I guess. I mean, people still camp anyway, especially during that long catwalk I think it was Mulcher/Torque spawn, but at least it's not that much of a Lancer fest like all the other maps in the game. It's a pretty easy Horde map too. All you have to do is just set up on top of Torque Mulcher spawn and you're good to go. Just don't ever use heavy weapons on this specific spot where you're looking on the screen right now. Otherwise, you're gonna lose that heavy weapon for the rest of eternity, and you're gonna have to buy another one. Speaking of Horde, let's talk about the two main Horde events this operation, starting with Escape from Mount Kardar, which I sadly do not have footage of since I accidentally deleted them all while clearing out my hard drive, so I'll just use gameplay from other people since, well, I have the Locust Hybrid skin to prove I even did it in the first place. Really, it's probably the most boring Horde event I've ever played in my entire life. All it is just a bunch of Locust Hybrids equipped with pipes and the occasional Retrolancer and Nasher along with Sires and the Matriarch as a boss for 10 waves. That's it. And Nomad is pretty OP on that map too, so it's pretty damn simple if you know how to take cover. Otherwise, it's just a straight up snooze fest. I assumed it will be an escape event since, you know, it had the word, I think it was escape in the title, but I should have known that TC would never show any love to escape, so I'm pretty let down by that, I guess. The next and final Horde event was Nexus Siege, the one that every fucking Gears player creamed their pants over. A Horde event that made everyone go, "Oh my god, the Locusts are back! The Locusts are back, guys! The Locusts are back, guys! The Locusts are back, guys!" In reality, it's somewhat underwhelming. Mainly because since it's a public Horde event, you're bound to run into people who don't want to shoot, who don't want to take cover, who use classes that are way too low level, and people who just don't check their surroundings. Like, it's just so, I get so annoyed when I fail waves in the most easiest way possible. Like, we could have easily won the wave had you not done that. Like, come on, bruh. Like, use the noggin, that little pink mushy thing in your skull. Use it, people. Just use it. I really just despise public Horde. I really cannot play public Horde because of that. I always look at the custom lobbies on master difficulty for that, which is just really stupid how you can't set up custom games for Horde events. Any fucking way, let's get on to the actual event itself. It consists of 10 waves of just the Locust drones, so don't expect no wretches, don't expect reavers, don't expect boomers, Serapees, don't expect any of that appearing in the event at all. But hey, at least the Locust generals arrived in the most cost-efficient way possible. Karn doesn't have his giant spider thingy at the end of Gears Judgment. Jermod doesn't have his breach shot like he did in the Rise of Rom comic. Speaking of Romp, he doesn't even have his giant gun he had in the end of Gears of War 1. All he had was just a mulcher. That was it. He doesn't even do his iconic knife execution either. He just does the default multi execution instead. Scourge doesn't even have his chainsaw staff. Instead, he wields a breaker mace. And Queen Mira doesn't have her what's that giant bug thing called? I forgot what oh, the Tempest. She doesn't have her Tempest from Gears of War 3. All she does is just walk around with a ball talk that just one hit kills you. They're all just watered down versions of what they could have easily been in Gears 5 graphics. The Lambent also make an appearance, but there's only the Lambent Drone, Lambent Grenadier, and the Lambent Theron. That's it, so you don't get to see any drudges or those giant boomer Lambent things. I forgot they were called though, so if anyone in the comments wants to tell me what they're called, feel free to do so, because I don't remember the names of most of these things. They even fight each other too, so it makes it all the more interesting from a visual standpoint. Oh yeah, you better not go out too far in the open, because I had a couple enemies just spawn right behind me when teammates are too stupid to know that you shouldn't be going out all the way out into the other side of the map, because for some reason when the group is all separated, enemies just spawn out of fucking nowhere right behind you, and they could easily kill you. Would I play Nexus Siege over and over again? No, but it made me feel very nostalgic fighting the Locust again after not fighting them in Horde for so long. Let's move on to Escape now. All they've done for Escape was change the payouts to make them a little bit better, and a hive can no longer be featured on the daily hive for more than like 2 weeks. That's all they've done for Escape, so no new highs, nothing to map builder, nothing. It's just left in the dust. Let's talk about Versus next, since that is probably the most controversial part of this whole operation, it seems. This is probably like the least amount they experimented with Versus, and if at all even, most of the events are just modified versions of already existing modes. I don't think they have any original modes this time around. Most of it, all the events this operation are just modified versions of already existing modes. If you actually think about it, Control is literally Blitz if it has a giant ring. That's it. If you play Blitz, you play Control. Execution 2.0 is literally Warzone, but it takes longer to kill downed enemies, and there's a ring that spawns when there's a minute left on the clock. Well, how do you fucking know, Great Defensor? Well, you know how in regular execution, when you shoot a downed enemy, it makes a do noise? Well, in Execution 2.0, however, it doesn't do that. Instead, the damage that you deal to a downed enemy is a whole lot less significant than it normally is. That's all they've done to Execution 2.0 besides adding a fucking ring when there's a minute left on the clock. Yippee! Time for a celebration for TC quote-unquote innovating for once. Whoopee. And Brawl is literally Dodgeball, but with a TDM respawn system instead. I still have no idea why TC just left Gridiron in the dust, like as if it never existed in the first place. They sit up here talking about how they're gonna bring back Execution, Escalation, and Ranked, when they literally had an entire operation named Gridiron back in Operation 3. Like, Execution and Escalation are so boring. Why are you bringing those back? Gridiron is like, it's like that long needed fresh air that Gears needed, and yet, like almost everything else they introduced, they just threw it out into the garbage. So I'm still very disappointed by that to this day, actually. The only one that I really did like was Brawl, and that's because I don't have to deal with spawn campers 24/7 like I used to in regular TDM. And now the moment you've all been waiting for, the skins. Skins, because let's face it, this is literally just a dress-up game with third-person shooter mechanics. Now, I already talked about the abundance of collector skins in my, I think it was called the Gears 5 has a recolor problem. So if you want to hear my thoughts about the abundance of collector skins in this operation, you're more than welcome to check that out. I'll probably put it in the description somewhere. But anyway, to not regurgitate in everything in that video, more than half of the skins in this game are just straight up recolors, man. And I'm just straight up sick and tired of it. But hey, at least for the last 2 weeks they released an original skin alongside a collector skin, so I'm somewhat glad that they are. But then again, they shouldn't even be wasting time and effort on making these on straight up recolors when we could have easily been getting these original skins for who knows how long now. Speaking of skins, we got 5 characters this operation. 3 at launch with Hoffman, Queen Reyna finally after like a freaking year and a half, and the Locust Zealot. And in drop 2, which came out like what, a couple weeks ago, we got Prescott and the Locust Disciple from Gears Tactics. I'd say Prescott is most definitely my favorite character in the drop, mainly because I'm a big Liam O'Brien fan, so I love using him. So, and I heard a couple people say he has the quote unquote wrong voice for whatever reason, as if the Gears 3 one is the correct one. Normally I'm against voice actor changes, but I like Liam O'Brien over the previous voice actor, so I really don't care if it's the wrong voice, if the quote-unquote wrong voice is better than the original one. He even got his old Gears of War 2 drip too, so that's nice to see, I guess. And Hoffman got his old captain uniform from the Gears of War comics, which for some reason it gives him Marcus Phoenix voice, which it really doesn't. It's really funny, man. It's like a straight up meme to me at this point. Hell, even Turner in one of his videos called him Marcus Hoffman. Probably the best part is that TC claimed they fixed it, but they never did. I still kept hearing Marcus voice lines every time someone put on the Captain Hoffman skin. It's fucking funny as hell, man. So all in all, this operation literally proves my point about how this is literally the beginning of the end, people. This is literally the beginning of the end of Gears 5. And to even further prove this, I think TC Shawnee said that Operation 8 is the last operation, so I guess we have to put up with this quality of content for the next like 6 months or so. The versus events are literally just slightly tweaked versions of already existing game modes. Escape from Mount Kardar is worthless, and Nexus Siege is literally just they just want to grab all the nostalgia factor to bring the nostalgia people back in, and to say they did a pretty successful job, man. They really did. It's actually one of the better Horde events this time around, though I wish they really did a randomized Horde event, because I would love to see them bring that back from Gears of War 4, because that was one of the few times I actually genuinely enjoyed Horde and not play it as like a means of a chore to do. This is probably the weakest operation we had since Operation 2, not gonna lie. Like, oh no, it's just middle of the road, and it just further proves my point about how this is just the beginning of the end. And now we're in the middle with Operation 7, so stay tuned for the next video.